when I was 14, and I just worked as an assistant and executive assistant to a commercial real estate broker, and then I went off to college and I just worked in RE/MAX, a couple different offices up in Bellingham while I was in college, and then I decided I got a marketing degree and that I didn't want to do real estate, but I kind of use both of them now because I do marketing and operations management while I'm still listing and selling things. So if I have someone on the side that's a friend of, family member, I can do it. I can write the contract, and I can legally I can do everything for Phil. That's my first time report. So I've had my license for 8 years. I just says 18, so 8 years.
Uh-huh.
No, not that old. 5 years, whatever.
5 years.
Whatever.
That's gonna go.
I know. I was like, wait a second, I'm not that old. So I've had my license for that long, but I've been in it for longer, so I've learned a lot more. But that's kind of where I got here. We worked at Asset Realty Group when Phil was over there, and that's how I met him. It was, here's your assistant, and we just kicked it off, and I followed him back here. So.
What kind of volume does he do?
As
in number of transactions or annual sales?
Annual sales
per year
for the last year, but we got solid closed transactions last year were 61.
Mm-hmm.
So just between the two of us.
Absolutely.
And you guys want to use a buyer's agent?
We do now.
You guys do now?
Yeah, but we don't count her closed sales into our numbers. So on top of that, we have about, I think, 15 more.
Okay.
So about 85.
Is there a goal this year?
Yeah, this year, between him and I, we went 83 closed transactions.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really looking at just about a third extra. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Well, technically, we're looking at more like 120, but realistically, it's probably going to be 83 at the market.
So somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But if we hit 83, we made our goal. If we don't hit 120, that's kind of depressing. So.
So what's the biggest success factor you'd say in being able to manage 60 some odd transactions from an assistant standpoint?
You work a lot.
When you're working a lot, I got a question.
Yeah.
I know that you guys do everything on the cloud. How much time are you actually working outside of like the normal 9 to 5, 9 to 6 hours? Seriously. When you're talking about, that's a lot of transactions.
8+ hours.
Huh?
Outside of 9 to 5.
Outside?
I don't work 9 to 5.
Okay.
It doesn't exist in your world?
No, it's, emails start coming in around 10, 11 a.m., so I answer those, and then they trickle through maybe about 3 p.m., but there's like nothing between 12 and 3 or 4. And then after that, stuff comes in after 5, because offers are being written. I get stuff at 11. But I work a swing shift. I work from home, so I kind of do whatever I want. But I work a swing shift, and so I kind of don't get up till 10 or 11 in the morning, and then I don't go to bed till 3, 4 a.m. But I'm doing contracts and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So. Are any of you guys morning people or nighttime?
I'm a night owl.
You're a night owl.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nighttime.
See how she can organize. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it works out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that.
I mean, you have to work with who you're working for, but after you've built the relationship, you might gain trust and maybe work 4 hours in the office so that they can be with you and manage you, and then your after hours are doing contracts and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours on the weekends do you see yourself working, even though you say you keep working swing shifts? Because sometimes contracts will come in, but they're not that urgent until maybe they're on a weekday or...
They're always urgent.
Okay.
Yeah, when is it?
They're always urgent. So, I mean, I had one come in on Friday night, and I had to get it signed and out that night. So I worked Friday night, and then last night I worked for about 2 hours at like 12 to 2 in the morning. Yeah, just random. It's just when things come in. I kind of do stuff around the house, and then when something comes in, I take care of it.
So you're flexible then. There's a lot of good flexibility. Yeah.
And you have to consider volume too, because you guys are going to close how many deals this year?
83.
Okay. So
If not more.
right.
If
So,
not more.
so depending on the relative, like Quasey's going to do all of that and probably a lot more than that, right? So you're going to, but
Yeah.
depending on how many are HUD deals, and you can only work with HUD during the weekdays, right? So yours is going to be different. Yours is going to be a little different, So
Exactly.
not everybody's going to
We
be
don't do
working that
HUD, so
much.
it's easy. It's anytime.
Yeah. And Quasey's a morning person. Morning. So
morning person.
yeah, so it works
I
out.
can do both, but
Yeah.
definitely morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Don't get me up before 10. Unless it's Monday when I have to be here for my meeting. Yeah.
Can you walk through just a day in the life?
Yeah. So emails, like I said, coming around 10, 11. Lorelai doesn't get here until about 10. She's our transaction coordinator, which she's awesome. If you guys want to, that's what keeps me stress free, kind of. But I don't like dealing with the transaction. So I know how to do it. I can get the contract, and I follow it along the way. Like all the emails she sends me, like financing contingencies are due, inspection deadlines. Like she just reminds me that the inspection response needs to be in today, and so then I just find it and send it to her if it hasn't been done. So she kind of just keeps me up in my checkpoints. But as for like tracking the dates of when things need to be done, other than getting the offer and closing, she takes care of that, and I just follow it along the way.
So does Phil still go to the inspections, and then, or do you go since you have your license?
No, if it's a buyer, he will go.
Okay, and who?
Unless he's out of town, unless I do it.
Right, and then who writes up the response?
Technically, I do.
Okay, that's good.
The only thing Phil does is he goes on the tours and he goes on the inspection. I write up everything because usually it's through Authenticign, so I just write it up and he tells me what to write.
Got it.
Fantastic. So you know all the contracts, and he basically gives you a download of information.
Yeah.
And
So if
then
there's
you're
something
taking that
missing, it's
information.
my fault because I wrote the contract technically.
So when you guys have a buyer, what happens? From start to end. From I have a buyer. Phil has a buyer. He gives you all the buyer criterias, or does he input the tracking, or how does that all work?
Okay, so say we have Joe and Nancy, and they're looking to buy in Kent. He'll tell me that. I call him up or email and say, hey, what's your criteria? All I need to know is the cities, minimum number of bedrooms, bathrooms, if they want short sales. Because I already know their purchase price because I got their approval letter. I always make sure they have their approval letter.
Okay.
So so I already know the purchase price, and then I do it in the MLS. I set up their searches, and then I sift through the things. Sometimes it depends on the client. I'll send them everything just so they can pick what they want. But if I kind of know the client more, what they're looking for, I'll do it.
Okay.
And then send them everything, and then we set up a day. They send me the MLS numbers. I go through the MLS numbers, and I pick out which ones that they see out of their top ones. Because half the time, if it's a short sale, it's like you got to pay the $3,000 fee as the buyer. So I'm not going to send them on that one. They don't have money to spend on that. So.
And so you'll even organize the tour. You'll tell
I do the
what
tour,
times
yeah.
and everything like that, and then
Yeah.
and then Phil's going to take them out. So you really
Yeah.
everything that has to do with communication and information, that's what you do.
Yeah. So I'll take all the MLS numbers, I'll make the map on the MLS, and I'll tell Phil and the buyer where to meet and what time, and I'll attach the tour with the agent detail reports. And then they follow him everywhere, and they write up the offer, and then it gets sent. Sometimes he writes it up on the spot, like if it's new construction, just because there's different forms, and then sends it to me, or he tells me the details. All I need to know is MLS number, purchase price, earnest money, and close date.
And then you write the offer.
Yep, I write the offer. Because I already know their approval, I know how much concessions they need, everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then anything specially negotiated, then he'll tell you if there's anything above and beyond, like your normal. You guys probably have a normal
Yeah.
inspection timeline and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
normal 7 or 10 days. I can make the judgment.
So what happens if they don't buy, or how often is Phil going out with the buyers before they decide to buy or not buy?
Okay. He can usually write them up the first time touring. Because they've gone through everything that we've sent them, picked out their top 5. Sometimes people are a little over, and about 10, maybe 20 sometimes. But we narrow it down to the top 5. They go out and tour, and they write one. So it's very rare that they go out twice. If they go out twice, that means that stuff just wasn't what it looked like.
Fascinating. What kind of questions do you guys have?
Well, you use Outlook, right?
Only for email and calendar.
And what do you guys use for database?
Top producer.
Top producer.
I highly suggest Top Producer. It may be very convoluted and hard to learn, but if you watch all their training videos, it's simpler. But the whole thing is, I may not like Top Producer, but they're the one who's been in the game the longest.
What do you not like about Top producer?
It's just a lot to learn.
Okay.
I mean, in order to make an action plan, you have to create the letter and then create the action plan, and it's just very difficult, and you have to do it the same way every time, or else you're going to get messed up on how you did something. So it's just very systematic about how they do things.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some flaws, but they're the ones who are always evolving. So they have the money, the resources to change over time. So you might as well stay with them. Because I switched to a different database management system about a year ago, and I switched back to Top Producer.
Uh,
And that's not fun.
So how do you know what to do when you get a listing? Do you have a to-do list that walks you all the way through the workflow, or?
Yes. So, okay, I can go down because I know in my head, but I used to have checklists on a piece of paper. I don't have them here because I don't. But I just put it in top producer because I'm starting to try and do everything electronic now and by action plans and everything, so I'm not having papers flying everywhere.
Yeah.
But what happens is Phil takes the listing. He sends me puts the contract in Dropbox actually. If it's going to be listed that night, he has the pictures in there. So I go on first I make sure all the forms are there and signed, and then I go on the MLS, I input the MLS information, make up my own marketing remarks for the house, and sometimes after I'm done I send the listing to the client to make sure that everything's correct because I wasn't there on the appointment. So whatever Phil tells me, if there's something wrong, I don't know. So they kind of confirm that there's the same number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the title was right.
Did they just send you an email back saying, yep, looks good?
Yeah,
Perfect.
usually. So input it in the MLS, I register the key box, I upload the legal and the Form 17 just to make sure those are on it, and they don't have to, legal doesn't have to be signed because we do everything electronic now that it doesn't get signed until we get an offer. It's just easier, but they're on there for when people write the offer. Trying to think. And then I put on our backlog report. I make a file in Dropbox, a file in Outlook, put all their documents. I scan in the listing agreement if it's not already done, and I put it in their folder. So in their folder on Dropbox, I have it's called clients, and then inside clients it has a B or an S, buyer seller. So if it's seller, so seller Smith, and then inside their folder there's listing agreement, there's supplemental documents, there's photos, and then when there's an offer it'll say Smith to whoever.
So you'll have all those documents separately, not in one file, like one PDF?
No. Well, no, they will be
Files
on
inside
PDF, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But they'll be in their own separate
I
folders.
gotcha.
So if Phil needs to go in there and find something, it's in there.
Did everyone get a good look at Dropbox this morning so everyone kind of got to see how that worked?
Yeah.
We can always go through that later on, and so we really get some details on that.
I can always show mine too. I
Sure.
can pull it up. So, pretty much that's it. Other than putting on all of our backlogs, tracking it.
Well, I probably have more questions because you're not in the business. So,
Oh wait, I'm not. Sorry, I just remembered the rest of the sheet. My visual mind. Then I emailed the contract to Lorelei because she's technically renting John L. Scott's because she's our transaction coordinator. So she gets the contract. Then I design the flyer. I assign the 800 number. I record the 800 number, the text information on there. Put all that tracking stuff on our sheets of what numbers with what property.
and who takes all the
then we're
calls?
gonna sign up.
Does Phil take all the calls for signed calls?
No, but buyer's agent does.
The buyer's agent does. Okay, so it goes directly to them.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's awesome. That's good stuff.
So you said you have to write the description of the house.
Mhm.
How do you do that? I mean, is it difficult doing that, considering that you're not, you weren't there?
I did the
Yeah.
CMA on it, so I can you can kind of figure out after you do a bunch of them what kind of style of home it is. It's the typical. It's nice 2-story, 3.5 bath, great yard, like basic information.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you see the
And if there's
photos
any, the photos too is what I kind of take it from. Like, so I look at the photos. If there's granite countertops, put it in there.
Mhm.
So,
New tile bathroom, you can kind of tell.
what made you guys decide not to use Lorelei for, the
Listings.
input?
Listing.
Yeah, because you're talking about time and
It's more of a control thing. With me managing everything, it's easier for me to put it in all of our, because if she put it in MLS, that's fine, but on top of the MLS, I have to order the sign, I have to sign the flyer, I have to do the 800 number, upload the documents onto the MLS, and
Order title.
that's another thing, order title, and then put it on all of our backlogs. So if Lorelei did do it, she'd have to send me an email, it's listed, and then it's just, I already
got it.
do it.
You
And at that
It's
volume.
done.
And how long does it take you typically?
To list a property about an hour.
Wow.
From front to back doing everything.
Including all the 800 numbers, recordings, and everything.
Yeah. So it takes a while.
Now, for my business, by the way, guys, Lorelei does all that stuff for me too. So it just depends on your volume. It depends on all those kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So that works, and so that it really does become kind of a way that you guys have worked out your whole system with your broker? And do you use Lorelei on the transaction? Do you use her on the listing? Are you guys, depending on what your broker wants, you can divvy it up kind of any way you need?
The only reason why we don't use Laura is because it's Phil and I talk 24/7 via text or email. But if he gets a contract, it's too many people to send it to. So if he gets a listing and he sends it to Lorelei, well, I don't have it.
Right,
So there's just someone's missing a link there.
right.
So it's just easier to send it to me. I take care of everything, and then I send it to her once I'm done inputting it.
What's the ratio of business from sales to listings? What do you think?
I think last year was 98%.
98% listing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
incredible.
So.
And so tell me about the listing follow-up. Like, it's on the market. If it doesn't get an offer like yesterday, then what happens after a week or 2 weeks, or
Well,
how do you guys?
we have an action plan that we've written in the first, let's think. So the first day, there's an email that gets sent out saying your home is listed. Here's a copy of the listing paperwork and a copy of the listing. So I send both those for the records. And then there's a letter that gets sent out, a mail letter. And then 10 days later, they get another letter. And then and then after that, it's every 30 days they get a CMA, a phone call, and different letters throughout the process, or emails. It's kind of mixed up.
And do you quarterback that, or does Phil?
No idea.
The sign, flyer delivery, lockbox installation.
He puts the lockbox in the house when we list it.
Okay.
Or, like tonight, he has someone coming in to sign the paperwork. He signs paperwork, and he goes out and puts the lockbox on and takes pictures.
And do you use flyers in the flyer box?
Yes.
And who delivers those? Because you're
The sign company.
sign company.
Yeah, so I design the flyer, and then I send it with an email to the sign company saying, order this sign up. And then every 30 days, I mail out an envelope of 30 flyers, and they can put them in their own flyer box. We don't need someone to drive out there.
What do you use to design flyers to start?
Just publisher.
Publisher?
Yeah.
Do you have like a template you use, or is it different every time?
No template.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are also
So
a lot of templates on John L. Scott's
Yeah.
back end side. There's lots of different
Yeah.
product templates.
You kind of just make your own.
Courtney, how about showing feedback? So
Showing
agents
feedback.
are showing the property and you want to know,
We use Showing Suite. Showing Suite feedback, whichever one it's called. What happens is it'll automatically sync when your listing goes on market. Sometimes it takes 7 days in a really busy market, but lately, like it's been 24 hours, it'll sync. And if people show the property before it's been synced, you just go in and manually enter them once it is, and then it automatically sends feedback. So once it's going, say you open the lockbox, it registers the agent's number, it sends an email to you saying the lockbox is booked, new showing has been added. They send an email 3 times over, I think, a week period, asking for feedback. If they don't provide feedback, it says seller did not, or showing, did not provide feedback. And
do
the
you
seller
guys-
gets that also.
Do you guys ever change the questions, or are the questions always the same?
They're always the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Half the time, people just put in the additional comments box why they didn't like it. Yeah. But if they don't provide feedback, then everything gets sent to your seller. So either they do leave feedback or they don't. So the seller knows that even though this person showed the property, they didn't want to leave feedback. So I'm not going to call them and beg them for it.
Courtney, do you have a feel for home equipment that you use, a scanner, fax machine, or whatever? We're kind of looking at giving some guidance to our brokers as we go paperless here. Do you have, have you figured it out?
Yeah, I just bought you can get them at Costco, but I think it's the Brother. Yeah, it's the Brother, but it's just a black and white scanner, fax, or printer. They're like $300 to $400 at
All in
Costco.
one?
It's an all-in-one. I didn't get color. It's not worth your money. So, and I've only had to replace the toner once in a year, and it prints a lot.
See, I spent the money on the dang color. You're right. It's not worth it.
No, they have the color one at I think Costco, but it's just not worth it. Yeah, so about $400 for the printer, scanner, all in one thing, and then I have a Mac, but I bought that myself. So.
And your main paperless piece is Dropbox. You're not using other
Nope,
Evernote
just
or
Dropbox.
anything.
No.
And you communicate together mostly through text.
Yeah.
and phone calls.
Well, he calls me a lot, but
Yeah.
text, yeah. So, text,
you-
voicemail,
Are you a texter?
yes.
Yep.
You probably figured that out.
I did.
Well, I'm usually on the road or
Always, yeah.
working. Yeah.
That's good.
So,
That's
I
good.
screen my calls.
I'm wondering if taking my calls.
I know. I was saying the same thing. That's
So
all good.
Dropbox is our main form of anything. Photos go in there, contracts, every
Okay.
single tracking
So
sheet.
I'm assuming you guys don't take professional photos because it sounds like you just have Phil do it.
It depends on the listing.
Got it.
If it's a nice enough listing, we'll do it. If not, then the iPad takes pretty good pictures.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's, I mean, honestly, unless it's a nice house, it doesn't need professional photos.
What's the average price? What's his average?
I think it's $230, $250. Yeah. But I mean, you get the outliers of like this month we have a $600,000 one selling. So
Professional photos on that one, yeah.
yeah. Actually, we didn't do professional photos on that one.
Really?
It still sold, but it wasn't that nice.
Oh, so, oh, it just depends then.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, going towards, I want to ask about, database
Mhm.
and exactly kind of what you guys are doing, what are you guys using, what's the game plan this year versus last year now?
This year is focusing more on the database. So last year we're cleaning. This year Phil's actually calling through his database for once and figuring out who's there, who's not there, phone numbers, emails, pretty much getting all the contact information updated for me. And then usually we have an ABC list, and the C's only get, I think they get the e-newsletter and I think a quarterly report that we send out. And then the B's get that plus one other monthly mailer, and then the A's get deliveries like Christmas, they get Valentine's Day, springtime. There's 4 different deliveries they get of a present, and those are only like 50 people, if that. And then I'm trying to think, they also get Valentine's Day. We send goofy things.
So you guys
They actually get something.
something, right? But so you quarterback everything out of top producer, and if I remember correctly, you said constant contact.
Yeah, constant contact.
That's okay. Got
Because I like designing. I'm a marketing major, so I
Right.
design my own stuff.
it. Right, which is cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can get you can use other places like MailChimp, and Constant Contact has their own templates. You can just, if you don't like designing stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have those all, by the way, on Business Suite on your Market Leader. We've got a ton of stuff on that, so we
Yeah.
want to learn about
Market Leader has a lot. I'm just setting my ways. So
Just
you
like
can
it.
try whatever works.
Well, you have the talent, you have the training and
Yeah,
the
you have
talent.
training
If you
to do
put others, it would
Yeah.
take all day to make a flyer. It's like, why?
Well, that's the thing is like Market Leader is already free to use, so you might as well use it. Constant Contact we pay for, but it tracks. The difference is Market Leader, you have to upload all your database into it, and I don't agree with that because you can't separate by categories. You can't separate by who's active.
You can.
Yeah. Well, it's different.
It's another conversation.
No,
Yeah, that's another conversation.
it's possible,
Yeah.
but from your guys and what you're doing, it's just not an effective
It just
tool
doesn't
for you.
work. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, when I use Market Leader, it's a buyer resource. It's for me to get buyers in there, and that's it. I don't put sellers in there because it's not a seller friendly area. So. But it's free, so you might as well use it for templates.
Yeah.
Do you use any of the, like, do you set up buyers like with a mobile app or anything that kind of gives
Just the
them?
John Scott one.
Use the John Scott mobile app?
Yeah,
with
we-
Phil as a preferred client, agent, of course.
Yeah, if they do that. Usually, so they have a John Scott app, but typically we've already converted them to getting the MLS listings from me.
Yeah.
So I kind of already have them in my pocket.
Yeah, just
But
if they're out and about
yeah.
and they don't,
Mhm.
they see something else that gives them a,
Yeah, they can do that.
yeah, and it's easy to contact Phil right from that app. So.
hmm We thought about making our own app. It's just not.
Worth
It's
it.
not worth it. I mean,
No.
you're competing with Zillow, Trulia, and John Scott. It's not worth it. You can have your name, but that's it.
But you could brand the John Scott app to the broker too, so that's a good advice.
Talk to me about when you do a CMA, because when we talked, you said that the first thing they should learn is CMA. It's the most important. So they talked about it this morning in class, and can you share a little bit about what's in your CMA and how it all works?
Do you guys have projector?
Yeah, we do.
Right here?
Because if you want to set it up, I can actually show you a CMA. I
Absolutely.
can go through my Dropbox. Be easier.
I've got Dropbox up, so you can go ahead and pull it.
I turned this on because it was really loud.
Yeah, I
should
know.
turn right
It's
down.
okay.
But it's really hot, so it should light up right away.
Oh, yeah.
That's trite.
Oh, you know what? We need to move the camera.